Hi, folks. This is Chief Meteorologist Steve Raleigh, and I'm afraid my fears are realized. We have an active tornado warning now for Clinton County. So as we look at it, you'll notice the red polygon all across this area, stretching from New Vienna and then over Leesburg and then stretching outside of the county. Here is the county line here. So I want to tell you, folks, that it looks like this area right around New Vienna is where the circulation is happening. This is what I was just saying a few moments ago about how we were seeing rotational properties in this storm as it was moving through Clinton County. So now we have an active tornado warning for the next 30 minutes, so we'll be in continuous coverage until this warning leaves Clinton County and moves out of that area. But we're talking about also including Highland County. So if you see your town within this area, then that is where you're going to need to be kind of in your tornado safe place. Let me go ahead and show you this. Step out of the way so you can see exactly what we're talking about. That area is now stretching from about New Vienna and then stretching past the county line, and that's where that whole area is moving to in a rather fast fashion. In fact, it's moving at about 25 miles an hour. The area by New Vienna, as I mentioned, is the area that we believe is probably right here in this area here. Okay, so we're talking about having this area right by the county line, the end point of the tornado warning right here. So as this storm continues to move off to the east, there's an intense amount of lightning with this as well. In fact, let me go ahead and click this on here and show you that this warning is now being all with this lightning area, and we've had upwards of 100 to 125 strikes across this area in just the last 25 minutes. So as a result, we're going to look at the potential for some power issues because of this in the area. Now, some of the other factors with this, winds have already been shown to be upwards of 60 miles an hour. Now we're getting rotational properties that are likely, as I mentioned, in this New Vienna area. So as we look at it, what I want to show you, and just take a second to show you, is bring this map up here right in through where I think that potential rotation is located. So it's in the Clinton County area now, but it's going to be moving into Leesburg. So all of you folks in this area, you need to be in your tornado safe place. That's key at this point. So as we look at it now, I want to try and bring this up to you so that you can, let me just get this right here. There we go. All right. Now, as you look at it, this area that I'm showing you here, right by New Vienna, is where I believe is the rotation. And in fact, yeah, right in through there, you can almost see some of it by Leka Road, State Route 73, Bernard Road, all of this area here. And that is what we're looking at as the area. I want to bring it over just a little bit, right in through that position. So as we look at things at the moment, these areas that you see here, Leka Road and other places, this is the area where I do believe some of that is happening. And in fact, this area here is probably the rotation center of this. Let me grab the marker here. Hold on. Let's grab that. Now, right here. Yep, right in through there. That's the area. And so as a result, we're looking at that area being the place that is probably the center of where this rotation is happening. Now, according to the National Weather Service, this is an active tornado warning, but nothing has been confirmed as of yet. There's been a lot of rotational properties across that area. So as I mentioned, one of the factors that's a big deal is going to be the lightning. There's a lot of lightning strikes in and around this area that we're talking about. I'm going to bring you back a little bit to home here so that you can see where we're talking. We're talking about Clinton County up here now. So for you folks here, we're talking about up northeast of that area. So all of this, I would say third of Clinton County, that's the area that we are looking at across the tri-state. So now back into the home place, and I want to show you what's going on here. You'll see this bright green area here and the gray area here. This is the area by New Vienna where all the winds are circulating. I was just analyzing this, and this is where we were seeing winds to 60 or better miles per hour. So you'll notice this is moving off to the east-southeast, so it's heading right for the Leesburg area. It's in New Vienna now, as I've already made pretty certain, and this is going to continue to move off through 62 and then out of the county. Hopefully before then, there's no issues with that as well. As we look at things on the map right at the moment, this is the velocity, so it's showing some of the winds within the storm itself. And that's what shows how all these wind properties will be moving off to the southeast. Now, what I'm looking for now is any type of other kind of what we call sometimes gate-to-gate shear. That gate-to-gate shear is what we are looking at for any potential rotational properties in the area. So let's take a look at that reflectivity again. Here it is, and you'll see almost a little hook here at the New Vienna area. As you look at it right and along here, that's likely where that rotation is happening and continuing to move off to the east. I can't emphasize this enough for you folks in Leesburg. You need to be in your tornado safe locations now. Do not wait to see this. With the darkness, with the fact that this looks pretty rain wrapped, meaning that rotation is in and around there as well, you're not going to be able to see anything. So don't go outside and look for it. Get into your tornado safe location. This area from New Vienna to Leesburg, that's the spot at which that this rotation is going to continue to move off to the east, moving at about 24 to 26 miles an hour. Now, one of the things I wanted to show you here, and I want to take a second to really get a good look at it, is the fact that this is closing off. So we're now getting back to what I called, and we were talking about if you were with us, see that little green spot here? That is called a bounded weak echo region, meaning these are all echoes, and you'll notice the higher reflectivity values. So if you were looking down at a blender, you see that there's a little hole in the middle and everything's spinning to the outside. Well, that's what's going on with this rain right now. Very heavy rain is wrapping around this area, and then this other area, because this rain wrap is happening and this spin is happening in the atmosphere, there's less rain being reflected into that area. This is a high sign that there's a real rotation happening here. We don't see these unless we do have an extraordinary kind of spin in the atmosphere. Now, I want to take a second just to step off to look at a couple of other items. One of the other items we look for is that shear that's going on in the atmosphere. And part of that shear in the atmosphere is the fact that that will be the rotation that we're looking for in, of course, the storm itself. As we look at it right now, there is some strong rotation going on in that system right at present. In fact, it's right over pretty much the same area of Leesburg right now. As we look at it and let me just take a second here to set this up for you. And let me just do this and take a look at that, and then you'll notice what I'm talking about there. And in that area, you'll notice that red shaded area. Needed the glasses here to do this, but you'll notice this area that's going on right here. So as we look at what's happening, this part of the storm system itself, right in here, okay, there's some of the rotation that's happening out by Leesburg as well. Now these skits are a little off cue, so they're not going to be too helpful for us because they're a little behind the time in showing what's going on. Now, let me get back to the radar here, show you what's happening from this, and let's take it over to the tri-state here. This will bring it out, and then I'm going to bring it back in here just for a second to show you what's happening. And hold on one second. Yeah, there we go. Now, and let's get this in here. Right there. There we go. So, okay, so this gives you a better look at how this is now progressing into Highland County. And that's what I wanted to show you. It's now moving into the Leesburg area, all of this activity. This obviously strong winds, rotational winds all across there as well. So as we look at this storm system now has got a lot of intense rain, so you're not going to be able to see it very well across that area. So this is why I say it's very important for you folks in in the Leesburg area to go ahead and be in your tornado safe location. You'll see that the storm system here is right around New Vienna. The one thing that is good here is some of that rotation now is unwrapping a bit. So hopefully that's, seeing the storm is somewhat coming down in intensity, let's say. Not to say the storm is done by any means whatsoever, but just to say it's not as strong and as much wrap as we've seen here in the last few minutes. So as it continues to move off to the east, we're going to see that intense rain as well as all of the lightning that's involved with it. And that's one of the other things to keep in mind. There's been an intense amount of lightning with this storm, as you'll see, right in that same area. So power could very well go out. I want to emphasize again, if you're hearing your tornado sirens across Clinton and Highland County, we're in an active tornado warning situation. Right at the moment, as we look at it, this storm continues to move off to the east-southeast at 24 miles an hour. Ultimate Doppler here is what we have, our 9 first warning Doppler that shows the entire structure of this storm. Some of this storm continues to show some notching involved with it as well. And because of that, we're still holding you on what we would call our tornado warning safe area. So you should stay there in your downstairs basement, or perhaps that's a middle closet, or perhaps that's a bathroom. Put as many walls between you as you possibly can. That's really what we want to do here as we go through this timeline, is to make sure that you have the area that is definitely a safe zone for you across that kind of location. So as we look at it again, I'm going to kind of bring this map out a little bit so that we can give you a sense of exactly what we're talking about right here by Polk Road. And that area is the area I believe could have the most amount of rotation in this tornado warning. We're looking at the warning until 10:15, as you notice here. It's going to move right in through Leesburg, but for you folks in and around Highland Station, Highland, there's Leesburg, all these Polk Road, Antioch, all of these areas, this is the area where this storm is presently located. This is why you need to be in your tornado safe location. Now, there's a lot of lightning with this. There's rain. You can see the rotation of this that's here as well. So if you're in many locations, you're not going to be able to see through the rain, through the lightning, to be able to see this rotation that right at the moment I think is near Carytown. It's going to continue to move off to that east-southeast section across the area. Now, there's, as we look at it, and I'm going to talk to my director, Jack. Jack, go on to links 2 when you get a chance to, if you would, for me. As we look at it, there's a lot of notching going on, and you'll notice right at the moment that that area, that's all the inflow that's happening across here. So this is still a nice little hook here, and even more so now. Do you see how it's almost forming a little bit more, because we're seeing that air wrap in as this air wraps around, and that's where we're getting it, right in this area here. That's what's most important. Let's go back to links 1, Jack, if you would. Thank you. This is the area we're looking at by Polk Road, State Route looks like 3, all this area, State Route 72. We're going to be in this tornado warning for the next several minutes. I'm going to tell you that I'm hoping it doesn't get extended, but at present, look at this. I would say that there's a good bet this does get extended because of the nature of how things look right now. Overall, I think what's going on is we have got a lot of kind of winds going in 2 directions. And so as a result, we're seeing that rotational properties in and around Carytown, and that's why this warning is out. Now, as I kind of set things up again for you, I want to just show you a little bit more of how this is working out underneath the storm itself. And I just want to show you here that having a little problem with the radar jumping back and forth. Hold on. As we look at it then, I want to go underneath the storm so we can see it a little bit more. And as we look at it, you'll notice that there's some purple and green shades across there. I'm going to go ahead and tag some of these areas so we can talk about these. You can notice there's a lot of hail associated with this and a lot of rain wrapping around the area as well. So anywhere that it's pink, that's the hail that's falling. The green is the rain, and you'll see the intense amount of rain that's falling at about 2 inches an hour. Then the hail, it looks like to be an inch, inch and a half and around this area. So that's all part of this storm as well. The number of strikes, I'm kind of curious. I'm going to put this up here. It takes me a second to put it up for you. So let me go ahead and do that, and that way you'll have a sense of how many strikes just in the last 15 minutes. Well, you'll notice there we're talking about 132 strikes here in just the last few minutes. So it really does show that there's a lot of intensity in this storm. Okay, let's back it out and give you a little idea of what we're looking at here for everybody. So there's Clinton and Highland counties. This is sitting right at the corner, right over the top of Leesburg right at the moment. Now, with that said, we're seeing the storm moving off, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in motion here just over the last few minutes so you can see how this is rolling off to the east-southeast. And it looks like we're still seeing a little bit of notching in there. That would be the area that's right about under Leesburg now. So that area that's most intense for you folks around Leesburg, right coming in your back door right about now, right at the moment. So if you're watching on the app or perhaps a laptop or just have the TV turned up and you're downstairs or in a basement, you need to stay in your safe location. This storm still hasn't moved by you yet. Then it's going to start to move out to more rural areas of Highland County before it leaves the area. You'll notice how fast it's moving, but we're still getting a good amount of air moving in there out of the south. So the air's coming in this way, and then the air's backing around this way to get that rotation. Looks rather broad at this point. In fact, I'm going to go underneath the storm itself. We call this kind of a storm relative velocity, and the reason why we use this is we get a sense of exactly how things are going right now. Let's go to links 2 just for a second, Jack. Here's a little ETA for you as we're also kind of getting some graphics out to Twitter, but this will give you the ETA for Bridges, Stringtown, and New Petersburg as this storm continues to move off. We're talking about getting to New Petersburg here at 10:26. So the storm here, the center of it, is moving this way, southeast, across the area. Now, Jack, if we can go back to links 1. Now, these are obviously the lightning that's propagating, but you'll see this very bright green shade that's here. You'll also notice this gray area, and if you look close, at one point you see a nice little red area embedded in the gray. We call this gray ghost, and what's going on is the radar is working so quickly when it goes back and forth, it kind of bumps into each other on the radar. So it creates a gray pattern so that it says, okay, this data isn't any good. The problem with that sometimes is now we don't have a little bit more data than we need right in that area, but the fact that there's red right there, which is of course away from the radar, and this green is toward, we're seeing a lot of air going toward and away. So if you think about that in two forms, toward and away, you can see how that is pivoting around that area and creating kind of that circulation that we talk about with the potential for any tornadoes. Now, I want to say we do not have any confirmation at all about tornadoes in the area. I want you to take a look at some of this information and stay with it. I'm going to do a quick check here just to see if anything else has been out from the National Weather Service right now to say that they've had any information along those lines. I don't think that's the case. We have just the tornado warning. Radar indicated, meaning that we don't have any confirmation on the ground. So in other words, we saw, or I should say the National Weather Service saw enough rotation as we did even before they pulled the plug on the, or pulled the warning out. We saw that rotation going on. Now, there's still some wraparound here that's going, so there's probably a very active rotation that's happening in that area around Leesburg. So I don't want anybody to leave their tornado safe place. The only folks I probably could clear here now is you folks in New Vienna. If you're listening to me or watching right now, New Vienna, that storm is now since by you. There's still some thunderstorms behind it, but the actual rotation properties now has moved off to the east. So if you want to come out of your tornado safe location in New Vienna, you're okay there. But the other areas from Leesburg out to Petersburg, you stay in the location because that storm is still heading toward you right now. The immense amount of lightning, I'm looking at the indicator behind me here. You'll notice it flashing up to about 160, almost 170 at one point. There's an intense amount of power with this storm that's going on, the energy in the system itself. We had talked about these storms all day about happening earlier, and then when it hit, we said, well, we'll probably see some severe weather, and that's exactly what's gone on right now. Okay, so let's do a kind of a reset on this right here at the top of the hour for the folks who may be just looking in. We're in an active tornado warning here right at the moment for the folks in Clinton and Highland County. You can see it's slowly but surely exiting the area. Also want to give you folks in Clinton County a little heads up. The storm that's up here by Centerville is moving right again to Sabina. It's possible you folks there may see some severe weather here shortly. So as we look at this particular storm and look underneath the storm system itself, let me go ahead and stop things down and show you there's been a lot of hail. That's all that purple shade that you see there. And of course, we're seeing some rotation, but here's the really good news. At present, we're not getting any really strong rotational properties. Well, hold back just a little bit. You'll notice up here, there's this patented kind of S to what's going on, but that's not part of the same system, but we'll keep an eye on that. Right at the moment, I think we're looking better than we did at any time before. We're ending close here to about 10:15 to where the warnings are going to be expired. At present, we're looking at this storm continuing to move east-southeast at 18. Let me go ahead and get a little bit better idea of what's happening here as we look at, looks like the hail size has come down. That's good. Looks like, yeah, our density is dropping as well. So I think overall, this is a storm that's starting to wane in intensity, and hopefully it doesn't continue to pick back up across the area. Listen, one thing that I want to tell you about, too, is if we can go to links 2, I want to show you what's happening out here. This front, this gust front from the storms starting to manifest itself out here and head to the south. Now, because of that, we'll likely see this start to brew some thunderstorms. So for you folks across Hillsborough and to the south of Hillsborough and New Market, you could very well see some storms. At present, though, we're still keeping an eye on this red polygon. That is the active tornado warning, and that's out until 10:15. I would think, given what I'm seeing right now, though, and if we can go back to link 1, we will likely see this expire at 10:15. But with that said, this area that you see down here, kind of a bad circle, but you get the idea. That's the area that very well could end up producing some more thunderstorms for us and heading south. But right now we're focused here, right over Leesburg, and you folks who are in your tornado safe location, and for folks in Petersburg who are there as well, because for the next 10, 15 minutes or so, this storm is still showing some pretty good intensity, and it won't be out of the area and through Bainbridge or anywhere else. And if you've got friends or relatives, if you're in a safe location and you're watching this, you might give them a call to let them know that is indeed the case, that it's heading for them. Now, the thing with this is just because we may drop the tornado warning, this will likely still be a severe thunderstorm warning with gusts to 60 miles an hour. So as we look at things right at the moment, let me just go ahead and get this up here so that we can show you what's happening right across this New Vienna area. Because this thunderstorm complex is starting to wane a little bit across the area. Now, don't let the total strikes fool you, because that's for all of the strikes that you see in the frame that you're talking about. But if we look at it from this area here, we see that the lightning strikes itself are starting to drop a little bit. We're at about 80 or 90 now, and so as a result, it's a lot less than the 150 or 60 that we saw before across the Highland County area. Okay, so let's talk about this for you folks in Leesburg. How much more time do you have? Well, it looks like probably for about the next 5 to 8 minutes from what I was just analyzing there. So 5 or 8 minutes, that's going to be out to the east of you. There'll still be thunderstorms around, but the main area, and you can still see a little bit of notching trying to happen right to the south of Leesburg itself. So we're getting an idea of what's happening here from these systems itself. And as we look at it, we still are noticing a fair amount of intensity in storms in that area. So as we bring it down here just a little bit, all right. Looking for any other towns in the area just to surmise or let you folks know what's going on in the same area. Let me get these off here. That's a little bit easier to see. So as we look at it here, so want to just bring it down, and then, yeah, just don't see all that much left to the structure of this, which is good news. We're seeing a lot of that now moving out of here. Let me try and get a little update here on what's going on. And yeah, there it is. All right, there we go. All right. So this storm is going to continue off to the east, and as I say, we're in pretty good shape now. This is starting to wane in intensity, not to say there isn't probably some very strong and gusty winds. In fact, I'm going to flip this over a little bit so that I can see underneath the storm. As we do that, I'll be able to get a sense of what the winds are like in and around Leesburg there, and tell you folks how we're standing at the moment. As we look at it, the intensity is about 40, 45 miles an hour, and from what I'm seeing across the area here, let me highlight a couple of these spots here, these higher, brighter locations. All right, so we've got a couple of more that are still gusting to severe strength. There's to 60. Let's see here. What else have we got in there? I'm trying to get, there's a lot of, 59, 60s there. All right. So still this storm, and this is what I was talking about, still has some very strong properties associated with it. We're still talking about some strong winds that would be severe thunderstorm warning winds. And let's see here. See what they've done here. There's the tornado warning. Yeah, and it has shrunk. And let's get in tight here. New Petersburg, Black Road, Leesburg, Bridges, State Route 771, all of these areas. That's, you're under the gun at Highland and East Monroe. Yeah, these are all the areas that we're talking about seeing some strong winds across the tri-state. Now, let's get a sense of, yeah, we're down to, you'll notice our tornado index is at 2.8. That's the BTI that you see, and that's a good sign for us. As we note across that area, we're seeing this storm come down in its intensity. One of the things we look for is right here, this tornado index, the BTI, and that is down to 2.8. So right at the present time, there looks to be some rotation, but it's very weak across that area. You folks all along this area, though, stay in your tornado safe locations. We don't, we don't know if this could spin back up and or just get stronger on a whim if it catches just the right atmosphere or the kind of things that are going on, the energy in the atmosphere right now. But as we look at it, it does appear that as we note here, let me try and grab this again. Yeah, there we go. There we go. All right. Now, this area around Bridges, this is the area that we're talking about. Our 9 first warning Doppler is still showing a little bit of notching in here, so there's still some pretty good inflow showing around that area at present. So as we look at it, that's still an area of concern for you folks who are in line with this storm, including across New Petersburg. It's moving very slowly across the area. In fact, let's just try and highlight this right here and show you what's up. And as we look at it, let me get to the other side. It's moving east-southeast at 18. That's the window here. You'll notice there is some hail to 100%. It looks like the hail size is pretty good size, probably over an inch. We've got a good bet of severe hail. So there's also hail with this too from Leesburg to Bridges. So we're waiting on this to continue to move, but it's so slow, we're just sitting here kind of giving you the parameters for you folks who are in that area. We have to stay with this naturally because you wouldn't want us, if it was your neighborhood, to kind of go back to programming or anything else as there's an active tornado warning across this area. So as we look at it now, you'll notice that right at the moment, we've got, let me just bring it back here, nothing else going on around the tri-state. We have got a line from a cold front that's moving up there too, and that'll be moving into the tri-state shortly, but right now we have nothing except this one storm. The line, the cold front is actually up here. As it drops down, I would think, considering the little bit of activity that I see in Montgomery County, you folks in Butler and also Warren and Clinton could very well end up seeing more of the same thunderstorms perhaps for that area. So this is the spot that we're watching now in and around Clinton County. You'll notice right at the moment in Leesburg, we're watching this move off to the southeast. It's still an active tornado warning here for the next couple of minutes. I've got a strong feeling that they're going to likely drop the tornado warning, and we could go into a severe thunderstorm warning situation for this. So what we're looking at is this storm now kind of dropping in dropping in its intensity and then moving off to the southeast, but still maintaining winds to 60 miles an hour. So for you folks who are, let's say, downstream from this, you'll still have to be very weather aware of what's going on. Keep in mind, when a storm like this loses some of its intensity, it could gain it again a little bit downline. So although I think that's what's going to happen here in the next 2 minutes, I think what's important is for you folks to probably stay very weather aware, watching what's going on. And we're going to stay with you as this rolls off to the southeast. We're seeing some thunderstorm building back toward Wilmington again. I was mentioning the fact that that was indeed the case about what was going on. And as we look at it, you'll notice that we're still now getting some more heavy rain and potentially some thunderstorms across the area. Now, we're going to continue to see that happen as this cold front drops, although this area very well has been raked over by the intensity of this first storm, so it's quite possible that what we're talking about is probably some heavy rain and garden variety thunderstorms across that area. That's probably going to be the situation that goes on. So let's go back out here to where the storm is located, and as we do, I need to bring it back down there. All right, I tell you what, I'm going to bring it back home here. Hold on one second, and then we'll be able to do what I need to do. There it is. Okay, so again, here's the tornado warning right at the border. The storm itself now is past New Vienna, but there are heavy rain and thunderstorms. Okay, now this is going to continue to move off to the southeast. Now we're at 10:15. We'll see how this plays from the National Weather Service. They'll either say the intensity is enough for them that they want to move it out here to South Salem and Bainbridge, or this will go off the screen as it has done now. So the winds are still gusting in some spots to 50 and 60 miles an hour. But the tornado warning itself is over. So I'm going to send you back to programming now. We're watching this for you folks, but keep in mind, there's still some very strong thunderstorms around here with an intense amount of lightning still with this storm. So for you folks in New Petersburg and everywhere else right there at the border of Highland County, stay weather aware. If it's necessary, I'll be back with more. That's the very latest from WCPO 9 News.